Power Rangers is a television series that has been around for 30 years since 1993, but was actually born much earlier. Some already know that Power Rangers was born from the Super Sentai Series, a Japanese series that began in 1975 as Sentai and then in 1979 as Super Sentai. This name translated means Super Fighting Squad because basically that's what the series was all about. There isn't much of a difference between Power Rangers and Super Sentai, but some of the things that did change depended on the culture. For example, several of the differences are that in the Japanese version there is more violence because in that country they are not so strict in prohibiting children from watching violence on television. Another thing that's changed is that the character of Rita invoked Satan. This was something that would be very difficult for the American audience. This Sentai fact many already knew, but what many do not know is that Godzilla was the first Power Rangers. Obviously, this is not in a direct way, but rather in an indirect way. Let's start by saying that Power Rangers comes from what is known as Tokusatsu, a Japanese term to refer to movies or series with a high degree of special effects in real action. Normally this is used in science fiction, horror and fantasy movies, of which there are many today, but Tokusatsu involves more genres. One such genre is kaiju, a genre that involves giant monsters that save the world from other monsters. Do you know about giants that fight other giants? The giant monster that started this genre was Godzilla in 1954, which basically saved the Earth by fighting other monsters, which is why Godzilla theoretically starts out as the first Power Ranger in history. After that, in the 60s and 70s came characters like Ultraman and Kamen Rider, which were men in suits fighting monsters. These superheroes could grow into giants to fight monsters that wanted to destroy the Earth. If you notice, this is basically the same thing that Power Rangers does, a formula that hasn't changed in over 70 years. Also, in those years there was a series called Giant Robo, which had a giant robot with an Egyptian style that battled other monsters to save the Earth. Those series were the ones that gave inspiration to create what would become the Super Sentai Series, which received the name 5 Rangers internationally. This was not yet the beginning of the Power Rangers because before that other projects and failures were made to give birth to the series we all know today. In 1978 Toei Company and Marvel made an alliance and created a television series in Japan based on Spider-Man comics. The series was a far cry from the character's original story, plus they changed almost everything about the superhero. Spider-Man was very much like a Power Ranger, so basically Marvel was also part of the beginning of the Rangers. In this series, Spider-Man had a flying car that he used to fight his enemies and a giant robot named Leopardon that he called in the moment of danger when his enemies became gigantic. In the words of Power Rangers, Spider-Man wore a spandex suit, had a fighting vehicle, and for giant monsters he called his Zord. We can say that Spider-Man was also a Power Ranger in Japan. Another Marvel character who was going to be a Power Ranger was Captain America. In the agreement that there was between Toei and Marvel, each could use the other's characters as they wanted, and Toei chose the Captain to make the first Super Sentai program. It should be remembered that this series was separate from Sentai, as the first 2 episodes were produced by another company and then joined Super Sentai. In this first chapter of Super Sentai, the plot was to have a team of 5 warriors from different countries, therefore the captain would represent the United States. There was also Russia, France, Kenya and Japan. This is where the different colors of the Power Rangers come from, depending on the flag of each country. Japan in this case was going to be the leader since it was the country of origin of the series, and since Japan's flag is red, this is why the leader of the Power Rangers has almost always been red. Unfortunately, US television did not want to give the necessary permissions for Japan to use Captain America, and that is why the captain was never a Power Ranger. Perhaps many think that the Power Rangers were created from the beginning of Super Sentai, but the reality is that there was a first adaptation of this program for the United States called Bioman. If we look at the series, it is just like Power Rangers, with 3 Rangers, Morphers and Megazords. When you see these images, you just think that Tommy Oliver is going to appear saying that it's time for morphosis. This adapted series started from season number 8 of the Japanese series, and unfortunately it was not very well accepted in the big American TV companies. After 8 more seasons, in season number 16 of Super Sentai, the Power Rangers were born. The series started in 1993, adapting all the action scenes with new scenes including American actors when they didn't have the costumes. As I said at the beginning, they made several changes due to cultural issues since television in Japan is much freer than in the United States. Even when Lord Zedd, a character only from the US series, was created, the families started to protest because he was a very dark character, and that is why Rita came back to the series to soften things. Because the actress who initially played Rita was a Japanese actress, they had to hire another actress in the US to do the scenes with Lord Zedd. If you like the origin of the Rangers, like this video, and subscribe to this channel for more Power Rangers history.